Hi, so my name's Alex. Um, I work at Rolls-Royce and I'm probably best known for my love of sports, especially football and rugby. Uh, my love of video games. I play a lot of video games on Xbox. Um, and probably as well for my crazy hair, although that definitely needs a haircut and I'm just counting down the minutes till the barber's open.
Hi everyone, my name's Megan and I'm an engineer at Rolls-Royce. Things that I'm known for when I'm not working, I'm either playing a lot of sport, whether that's handball or going for a run. And then another known fact about me is that I have an identical twin sister.
Hi, my name is Dara Eli and I'm probably best known for being a sports fanatic and also for being Irish. I'm from a place called Sligo on the west coast of Ireland beside the Atlantic Ocean. A very beautiful spot and I'm looking forward to getting back there as soon as I can.
Um, for my profession, so I'm an engineer. And I work in an area called performance at Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce, you probably think of the cars when you first hear of them, but we actually mostly make jet engines, which are engines for things like planes. Um, and what performance is, what my job is basically understanding all the science behind how every little bit of a jet engine works so that when one breaks down, I know exactly what's gone wrong and can tell people how to fix them basically. And sort of the inspiration for me getting into this job basically came from as a kid loving like planes and rockets and helicopters and everything that flew and went fast basically. And that's why I wanted to get into this kind of line of work, and that's what sort of I was aiming for all the way through school and that kind of thing. And for how I actually got into it in the end, after finishing school, I went to university. I came here to Bristol. I'm originally from Birmingham, um, and I studied what's called aerospace engineering, which is basically engineering of things that go in the air and space, as it kind of says. So planes and rockets, basically, which was the stuff that I liked. And while at uni here, I did an internship, which is almost like a test job with Rolls Royce, and I just worked for them for a bit in my summers off, and then because of doing that, I sort of went back to them as a graduate, and I didn't even have to do any job interviews or that kind of thing. So yeah, I just started my job there because I basically liked it when I was trying it out as what's called an intern after or while I was in university.
I'm an aerospace engineer. I work for Rolls-Royce and they make the engines for the aircrafts, for aeroplanes, not cars, as some people might think. And they work by jet propulsion. And jet propulsion is very similar to if you have a balloon and you blow it up and you let go and it flies around the room. In a similar way, that's being powered by jet propulsion. So engines are a very complicated machine that does the same type of principle. So it takes a huge amount of air in, it squeezes it down really tight, then it mixes the air with fuel and it explodes and pushes the air out the back. And the force of the air being pushed out the back pushes the engine forward. Then we bolt the engine to an aircraft and the aircraft moves forward. So that is essentially how the engine works. My role is the Chief Design Engineer for combat. So combat aircrafts are the fast jets. They go on the Tornado and the Typhoon. And my job is to make sure that everything fits together correctly, everything works together correctly. So if you can imagine it like it's a huge jigsaw and every component has its own special job that it needs to do and everything needs to work together to make the engine work. So it's my job to make sure that they all fit together correctly, that they all work together correctly, and that they are reliable, and very importantly, with the help of Alex and Megan, we make sure that everything is safe for our customers. And the reason I got into this role, I think probably I can trace it back when I was young. The Concorde was quite new, and it was on television quite a lot. And I remember asking my dad about what it was, and the big claim to fame for the Concorde was that it was a passenger plane that could go faster than the speed of sound, which is hugely fast. It's 770 miles an hour, massively quick, and it goes almost at the top of the stratosphere, so you can see the curvature of the Earth from the Concorde, and you could fly in these planes. Passengers could fly in these planes, and I think that was my first time I really got interested in flight and in design. I used to make a lot of paper airplanes, and I used to take things apart a lot. Didn't always put them back together just as well as I could take them apart. That was something that my granny and my mother weren't very happy with, but you know, we live and learn.
At Rolls-Royce, I work in the Combat Services Engineering team. So our job is to help air forces all around the world with any issues that they might have. For example, if a part in an engine breaks when they're flying it, it's our job to figure out why that part broke, how we could fix it, and whether it's still safe for that pilot to fly in their aircraft around the sky. How did I end up working at Rolls-Royce? So from secondary school, I went on to study aeronautical engineering at Loughborough University. Whilst I was at Loughborough, I was fortunate enough to do a year's internship at Rolls-Royce in Bristol. I really enjoyed it, so once I graduated, I then reapplied to come back to Rolls-Royce on the graduate scheme. The graduate scheme was 2 years long, and then after that I joined my role in the Combat Service Engineering team. So what inspired me to get into engineering? So there was a few things. So first of all, when I was growing up as a kid, the Red Arrows used to come perform along a stretch of beach near where I lived. My parents also took me to several aircraft museums. I got to explore lots of different aeroplanes and climb in various cockpits that captured my imagination. My older brother, who's 2 years older than me, went to university to study aerospace engineering as well, and because of him I knew that that was a career option that was available. If I developed the power to travel in time and come back to when I was at school, what would I tell myself? So there's a few things, the first one being to enjoy as much as possible all the sport, volunteering that I can get involved with, because I found that the skills I learnt doing that, whether it's communicating with other people or working in a team, have actually been super useful when I've actually started my job in the real world, just as much so as all the academic work. There's one other sneaky little thing. I think I would encourage myself and my twin sister to pull a few more pranks on the teachers at school by switching classes.
What challenges have I faced? I think the biggest challenge that I faced was the sort of difference between what it's like at school or uni and what it's like in work. Um, and it's something that you've really got to sort of try out and get to that stage to sort of appreciate. So one of the things that helped me was doing an internship so you could see what things are like. But the other big thing is just always ask questions. Anytime you're not sure of something, if you're in school or at work or at uni or anything, it's amazing how many problems you can solve by just asking questions until you get what's going on, basically. So that's definitely a great bit of advice that really would help me.
In order to get to my role as I am now as an engineer, there's been a few hurdles along the way that I've had to overcome. One of the biggest ones has actually been maths, which is ironic, seeing as an engineer we actually use maths every single day. So when I went into secondary school, I was put in the lowest maths set in the year. But I feel like the important thing to remember from this is not to give up, because with the support from my teachers and my sister as well, I was then able to move up to the top maths set. I carried on taking maths throughout the rest of my school years, and obviously used it heavily while studying engineering.
Um, and I think if there's anyone that wants to do something similar to me, I'd say the most important thing is to make sure it's something related to something that you're interested in. So for me, I've always loved like planes and rockets and that kind of thing. Like I said, I even still got for Christmas from my mum this year like a little model of a plane just to sit on my mantelpiece because I still like planes. Um, and I think like it's important to stay sort of motivated to study and things like that at school. Um, so if you find something that you can be interested in, then I think that's the best way to do that. And that's certainly what helped me sort of find motivation and make sure I was doing studying and that kind of thing all the way through uni and into my job now. So yeah, I think that's my biggest piece of advice.
So what would I say to children who are aspiring to do a job like mine as an engineer? Well, the first thing I say to all students is find something that you really enjoy doing. Find something you're passionate about, and find something that you think you really enjoy, and do that. That would be my main piece of advice. And it doesn't matter if it's in STEM subjects or as an engineer, or if it's being a chef, or being creative, being an artist, a dancer, whatever it is, whatever you enjoy, do that. Do what you want to do. Don't worry about what your teachers want you to do or what your parents want you to do. Do what you want to do. That would be my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice would be don't be afraid of challenge, and don't worry about making mistakes. Again, there is a fine line between fear and excitement, and in fact they're very closely coupled, closely aligned emotions. So if something frightens you, or something you're fearful of because you're afraid that you might fail, I would say take the challenge and do it and try it. And if you fail, that's fine. That's okay. You can try again, do something else. That's absolutely perfectly acceptable. But not trying, that is the bit that you will regret. You will never regret something that you've tried. I think that is something else that I would encourage you to do. I was not the smartest person in my class. I quite often wasn't the smartest person at my desk, but I really liked engineering. I really liked being creative in STEM subjects, and I just took the paths that sort of led me to where I am today. And I took every opportunity that I could to try to go in the direction that I thought would be most interesting. Even if it's scary, even when I thought I wasn't able to do it, that's when you know you're growing. When you feel that you're not sure that you're comfortable in doing something, that's how you get where you need to go.